Hello and welcome. Today we are in the Tier 7 Japanese destroyer, the Shiratsuyu. And if you notice my hotbar, you'll see that I do not have a smokescreen. I have a Torpedo Reload Booster, and luckily for me, this is an aircraft carrier game, which means that I don't need my smokescreen at all, right? Oh boy, this is gonna be trouble. Luckily though, the air concealment range of Shiratsuyu is 2.5 kilometers, which means that I should be able to avoid planes sometimes. Depends on how much the enemy Graf Zeppelin pays attention to me. But Torpedo Reload Booster allows me to launch more torpedoes, which is amazing because you get to deal more damage that way. By the way, if you look at the minimap, you'll notice that the Graf Zeppelin on the enemy team is approaching the middle of the map. And we've also seen two of the destroyers, and the destroyers and the Zeppelin are in a division. So there's essentially a column of smoke in the middle with an aircraft carrier in it, and that aircraft carrier is launching a lot of secondaries right there. Essentially they're playing a division to smoke the CV over and over and over again and utilize the amazing secondaries of the Graf Zeppelin. This is why I kept urging my Bismarck to go try and help the ships that we have in the middle, because if we can sink the Zeppelin, that'll be perfect. Also, it actually really helps me because I'm getting less screwed by the fact that I have Torpedo Reload Booster, right? Because the CV is gonna go and try to fight other ships, probably the ships closest to her that can actually threaten her. Also, she won't have quite as much attention to pay on destroyers somewhere else on the map. Therefore, I hit a few torpedoes on the Gneisenau, and I used Reload Booster to launch a second set. And if these actually hit then and cause a flooding, then the Gneisenau is flooding with a permaflood, and she can't actually, disable it, because she already used damage control party for the first set of torpedoes. And this is actually why I really like the Reload Booster. Now, of course, you could just only launch one set and then launch the second set sometime later. However, I find that that often ends up with me missing quite a few. Two sets of torps cover a much greater area. And so, I find it better to use Reload Booster to try to get a flood, or just have two destroyers together. Although if you're very confident with landing your torps, then more power to you. You can launch one set at a time. But personally, I think Holland is about the only ship I'd like to do that on. I might stagger them, by like 10 or 20 seconds, but even then, it seems I often miss. Because if you launch both sets, at the same time, you can make your torpedoes about twice as wide. Or, make them denser so it's harder to dodge. And Gneisenau is still there. I don't think my torpedoes are likely to hit her this time though, because she expects me, or expects torpedoes from my direction anyway. So I'm gonna pick a different target, turn around and go back in again. By the way, the Zeppelin still hasn't been spotted there in the middle, which means that she is still being smoked out. And Zeppelin secondaries are incredibly accurate. They end up dealing a huge amount of damage. Okay, I'm gonna Reload Booster here as well, because it seems the Monarch has avoided my torpedo set. So we're gonna try again. We've already done actually 65k damage. I feel that that's roughly appropriate for a destroyer already, but we always want more. Now, the downside with the strategy that the Graf Zeppelin was employing is that, both teams only have two destroyers. And if both of the enemy destroyers are actually there to smoke the Zeppelin, then there's nobody for them to actually cap. Other ships have to pick up the capping slack. I mean, on the A-cap, sure, I understand, right? Our battleships actually went into the cap as well. But over here, well, most of our ships have stayed back. And in the middle, it was probably still a destroyer that took it. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go for the cap though. Also, do keep in mind that there are tier 6 CVs as well in this match. Luckily, even the Ryujo hasn't bothered me. I still missed on the Monarch though. but that's okay. That means it'll be more damage later on. I do think they will take the sea cap. We only have a Vladivostok and me over here, so it's not likely we can defend, considering there are 1, 2, 3 battleships and a heavy cruiser pushing into it. With another heavy cruiser, a destroyer, and CV on the side, cutting us off from the rest of our team. But all we have to do is hold the line. They're actually ahead in ships right now. We've lost 5 ships, they've only lost 3. But I think it's likely that they're not going to be able to hold on to the A-cap, and they're probably going to lose the... I think it's a Fuso over at the A-cap that's inside it. Also, they're definitely losing this Trento. Goodbye, Trento. Sunk by a destroyer that doesn't even have a smokescreen. And very weak guns. They're actually not that weak, to be honest, but they're not amazing. It feels odd when you're used to playing higher tier ship. Oh god. Oh god! Richelieu, Gneisenau? Well, Richelieu's prediction line is already off the charts, so I definitely cannot land Torps on her. So I'm gonna try Gneisenau instead. I do know she is going to turn in, which I think makes a lot of sense, but maybe we'll still get lucky, you know? You can literally never know. But I'm gonna reload booster and try to launch, maybe, you know, it might hit the Monarch, it might hit the Richelieu. There's 2 potential targets on that path, so I think it makes sense to try it. Ships-wise, we're even though, and the Zeppelin is without support anymore, so she's gonna go down soon, I think. Oh, wow, I expected the... I really expected the Gneisenau to be able to avoid those, considering they saw my ship way earlier than, you know, was necessary. But I suppose maybe the torpedoes were so slow that the Gneisenau, you know, was like, well, if you launched Torps, they should have already been here. And then suddenly was like, well, I guess the torpedoes were too slow. But we managed to finish the Gneisenau, and I think at this point, the game's over. Like, even without Vesa detonating their Fusa or anything, I don't think they had any chance anymore. Because at this point, they don't have one of their CVs anymore, and I am behind them. So even if the enemies take this cap and try to go elsewhere, I'll just cap it from behind them. And the only thing they could do is try to sink me with a Ryujo? Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, it's possible, of course, but it'll take a lot of time. And it seems that my teammates have actually successfully prevented the enemy from pushing. Should I just go and YOLO the Monarch? I mean, I have torpedoes, I have speed boost up. The Monarch doesn't seem to be moving ahead, and she's eventually gonna spot me, so I don't think I could take the sea cap anyway. So yeah, let's go. Let's just go. I mean, we're at 900 points almost. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Besides, what is she gonna do? The only reaction the Monarch can do at this point is to accelerate, because she only has 1 turret at the back, and she's, you know, in the gap between the 2 islands, meaning that she can't turn. And since I'm spotted anyway, I might as well fire at the Richelieu, right? Because I'm gonna sink the Monarch with Torps. Yeah, I don't see how the Monarch could even potentially defend herself in this position. I would literally have to miss my torpedoes at this point, which I find very difficult to do at 1 kilometer. I don't even need a second set at this point. Goodbye, Monarch. And that ends the game. Yeah, usually, when a destroyer approaches your battleship from behind, the easiest way to counteract that is to accelerate. But if you're already reversing and the destroyer is at less than 6 kilometers, there's a good chance you won't accelerate in time. By the way, the reason I'm playing the Shiratsuyu is because I have, I stacked a bunch of research missions, so I have 5 of them. And so I'm going through that, and after that I will be able to unlock the Slava. Oh wow, I actually sank the most ships, 3 of them. Only was number 2, despite being a tier 7 ship in a tier 8 game. But I did deal a lot of damage to tier 7 ships, right? The Gneisenau instead of the tier 8s, but I did enough, I think. I suspect the Amalfi had a lot to do with fighting the destroyers, which is why she got some more XP than I did. Well played. well, 126k damage with the torps, 12k with floodings, and a massive 997 on the HE. By the way, the Trenta that I actually sank, right? I hit her with a torp, so the guns might have added up list to 1000 damage, but the torpedo is what did most of the job. Anyway, let's take a look at my commander skills and upgrades. I'm sure some of you might be interested, although usually the people who are interested in this seem to just ask and not actually check out the end of the video. Anyway, I take priority target, last stand, survivability expert obviously, maybe torpedo armament expertise, I don't know, but then concealment expert, then radio location, adrenaline rush, and that's basically it. Always take concealment expert for a 10th point. So I go for propulsion. You don't really need steering gears. Then obviously faster torpedoes, use special engine boost upgrade if you don't have it. Go for engine room protection, and obviously main armaments in the first slot. So I really don't recommend using Torpedo Reload Booster. Smoke is better. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.